The Grimoire's Curse. Once upon a time, there were two young lovers, Jack and Jill. They had been dating for 2 years and were deeply in love. They were planning to move in together and start a new chapter in their lives. One day, while they were out on a walk, they stumbled upon an old, abandoned house. They were both immediately drawn to it and decided to take a closer look. As they walked through the house, they found that it was filled with strange and eerie artifacts, including a mysterious book. Jack and Jill became obsessed with the house and the book. They spent every free moment they had researching the history of the house and trying to decipher the symbols and writings in the book. As they delved deeper into their research, they began to uncover a dark and sinister past. The house had been the site of a cult ritual and the book was a grimoire filled with dark magic and forbidden spells. Despite the warning signs, Jack and Jill were determined to uncover the truth. They began to experiment with the spells in the grimoire, thinking that they were safe as long as they were together. But as they continued to delve deeper into the dark magic, they began to experience strange and terrifying occurrences. They started having nightmares, hearing voices and seeing terrifying visions. Jill was the first to realize that they had made a grave mistake. She tried to convince Jack to stop, but he was too far gone. He was consumed by the power and knowledge that the grimoire offered. Jill knew that she had to leave Jack and the house before it was too late. She packed her bags and left, leaving Jack behind. Jack was furious and swore to get her back. He used the dark magic to track her down and soon found her at her new home. He broke into her house and threatened to harm her if she didn't come back to him. Jill was terrified, but she knew that she had to stand her ground. With all her strength, she fought back and managed to push him away. Jack stumbled back, his eyes filled with rage and madness. He pulled out a knife and lunged towards her, but before he could harm her, he was overcome by the dark magic that he had been dabbling in. He fell to the ground, dead. Jill was left alone, shattered by the loss of her lover. She knew that she would never be able to forget the horrors that they had faced together. She would carry the memory of Jack and the house with her for the rest of her days, as a haunting reminder of the dangers of dabbling in the unknown. For months, Jill struggled to come to terms with what had happened. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had somehow caused Jack's death. She felt guilty for leaving him and for not being able to save him from the dark magic that consumed him. One day, while going through some of Jack's old things, she found a note that he had written to her before he died. In it, he apologized for his actions and begged for her forgiveness. He explained that he had been unable to control his obsession with the grimoire and the dark magic. He begged her to destroy it and to put an end to the cycle of violence and death that had plagued the house for so long. Jill knew that she had to honor Jack's last wishes. She returned to the house and, with a heavy heart, burned the grimoire. As she watched the flames consume the book, she felt a sense of closure. She knew that she would never be able to forget the past, but she also knew that she could finally move forward. Years passed, and Jill moved on with her life. She found love again and started a family of her own. But she never forgot about Jack and the house. She knew that it would always be a part of her, a reminder of the power of love, but also of the dangers of the unknown. One day, while on a walk with her family, Jill came across the house again. It had been abandoned for years and was in a state of disrepair. She couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness as she looked at it, but she also felt a sense of peace. She knew that she had made the right choice in destroying the grimoire and putting an end to the cycle of violence and death. Jill took one last look at the house and turned to her family, ready to move forward with them and leave the past behind. She knew that she would always remember Jack, but she also knew that she could finally let him go. Jill's life continued to move forward, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off. She would often have nightmares about the house and the grimoire, and sometimes she would swear that she could hear strange noises coming from the abandoned house. Years passed and Jill's children grew up and moved out of the house. She started to feel like she was living in a ghost town and she decided to move out of the city to start a new chapter in her life. As she was packing her things, she came across a box that she had never seen before. It was filled with old photographs and trinkets from her time with Jack. She couldn't believe that she had forgotten about this box for so long. As she was going through the items, she found a small key that she had never seen before. She had no idea what it was for, but she had a feeling that it was important. She decided to go back to the house one last time, to see if she could find out what the key was for. As she approached the house, she could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She walked around the house and finally found a door that was locked. She tried the key and it fit perfectly. She opened the door and walked inside. The inside of the house was exactly as she remembered it, filled with strange artifacts and the smell of old books. She walked through the house and finally came across a room that she had never seen before. Inside, she found a chest that was locked. She tried the key, and it opened. Inside the chest, she found the grimoire. Her heart stopped as she realized that Jack must have kept a copy of the book all this time. She knew that she had to destroy it once and for all, to put an end to the cycle of violence and death that had plagued the house for so long. With a heavy heart, Jill burned the grimoire and watched as it turned to ashes. She knew that with the grimoire destroyed, she could finally lay the past to rest and move on with her life. Jill left the house for the last time and never looked back. She knew that she would always remember Jack and the house, but she also knew that she could finally let go of the past and live her life to the fullest.